Yo, so we're live. Welcome back, guys. It's currently 12 o'clock midday. I'm just having my first coffee of the day, and I've been doing some journaling about this, and I thought I'd speak to you guys about it as well. The topic today is about my 5 pillars in life. Now, if you're Muslim, you might be Muslim, you might not be. You've most likely heard of the 5 pillars of Islam. Well, this is completely separate to that. This is the 5 pillars in life. And in a way, the way I think of this is that if I fulfill each of these pillars, then overall I will have a content life. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that we're not chasing a happy life. We're not chasing a life full of happiness, because happiness itself is quite a fleeting emotion. It comes and it goes. And for me, anyway, I feel like if we were constantly happy, it would take the value of that happiness away from whatever it was. So I think, life has to have the moments of sadness, grief, and also the moments of happiness in order to make it balanced, because you can't always have the same emotion all the time. So that's why instead of happiness, I chase contentment. And contentment, I feel, is a state of zen, a state where you're content, where you're fulfilled, where you're happy, where you know that whatever happens, you'll be okay. And I think that's the sort of life that I chase, not just the happiness. So the 5 pillars of life. So my 5 pillars. It actually took me a couple of tries actually journaling about this to figure out what they were, but the 5 that I've come up with in no particular order are time freedom, money, relationships, health, and a worldly purpose. Now, I'll sort of break each one of those down. We'll start off with time freedom and why that, for me, is one of, well, the main pillars of my life, and sort of the main things that I want to accomplish and achieve in this life. So, you're probably wondering, this guy's got like pretty low energy right now, but yeah, I just woke up. Well, I'm not just woke up, but just kind of started my day. I'm waiting for this caffeine to hit in. But let's not waffle too much. Time freedom. Now, the reason why time freedom is so important to me is because time freedom is the only thing that allows you to do what you want when you want. And I think whenever I look at the future, whenever I look at what options there are for me to do in the future, I realize that 90% of those involve the rat race. 90% of those involve chasing up this superficial ladder, or this ladder that's created by the hierarchy, with small incremental pay rises to get to the top where you suddenly, feel enlightened and fulfilled. Well, it's just not the case. Even right now, I've got, I don't know if you can see, I've got scrub bottoms on. So I'm a medical student at the moment, and even the lifestyle of being a doctor is that hierarchical rat race in a way, where you slowly, rank up, you make a little bit more money, and the end goal just doesn't give you that time freedom. It doesn't give you the freedom in your life, because you're still having to work, dog hours. You're still having to work crazy hours. You'll be 50, 60 years old, still doing night shifts, still doing weekends, working crazy shifts. Like, that's not the lifestyle that I want. Yeah, I don't know, I just feel like so many other careers are like that, where you work your way up, all the way up until retirement, until you're 65 years old, and only then are you allowed to enjoy your life and do what you want when you want. I think that's bullshit. I think that the way that society's made us think that that's the golden route, that's the way you should do things. I think it's daylight robbery. I think that I wish more people opened their eyes to this, because you just realize that so many people are unfulfilled, and so many people are just unhappy in their jobs as well, because they don't have the freedom. If they wanted to, I don't know, just take their wife out for a weekend in Paris, they'd have to plan that like 6 months in advance. Like, but what sort of lifestyle is that? Do you know what I mean? I just find it crazy. So for me, time freedom is a huge, huge thing, because with time freedom, I have financial freedom, because they often come hand in hand. But with time freedom, I have the time to give to my family and my loved ones. And I mentioned this a bit in the last video, but one of my main purposes, one of the default purposes for me as a man, is to be the best quality and just the best father possible to my children. And I know that I'll only be able to do that if I have the time freedom, and I have the time, the resources, but mainly the time to give to them. And I can draw parallels with my own father. He, mashallah, he's worked so hard. He's a taxi driver, by the way, but he's worked crazy hours when I was a kid. This guy, like, I don't know how he's done it, but by the way, there's six of us. There's six of me and my siblings, and this man worked 6 days a week for about 15 years. For 15 years, he worked 6 days a week from 8 in the morning till around 7 to 8 at night. And sometimes he'd work Sunday mornings as well, just to make a bit of extra money. And a lot of the times he'd work nights as well. I just found it crazy. And even after doing all of that, he was still able to give me the time that I needed when I was growing up. And to that, I think, I've actually had a heart-to-heart with him recently, and I said to him that was the biggest gift that he ever gave me as a child, his presence and his time, even though he was working crazy hours. So props to that man right there. But for me, I just know that when I'm older, when I have my own kids, I don't want to be working long hours. I don't want to be working night shifts and weekend shifts and doing all that crap. I want to give them the time they need, because for me, that is one of the most important missions in my life. So, time freedom, that's one of them. The next one is money. Now, money, obviously, money is survival. Without money, you cannot survive. So, of course, money is important. And of course, we all want a certain level of resources, a certain level of wealth that, we might strive for in order to sort of unlock a certain lifestyle. Well, I think it's important to realize, and this is, I've journaled about this as well, that the lifestyle that you want isn't as far away as you think. And it really doesn't require the millions and millions of pounds that we think it does, or dollars if you're in the US. For example, I don't know if you guys have read The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, but in that book he talks about the idea of mini retirements and the idea of lifestyle design, and how you actually don't need that much money to live like a millionaire, which I found to be quite a fascinating subject. So if any of you are interested in that, read The 4-Hour Work Week. But yeah, for me, I know for sure that I want money. There's no other way about it. I want money, I want a lot of resources, and in a way, I don't know where this stems from, but I'm going to journal about this. But I know that since being a kid, I've always sort of cherished responsibility. I've always cherished having more responsibility than others. I feel like I just function well when I'm given a lot of responsibility. Even like when I was like 6-7 years old, and I had like 3 younger sisters to look after. Because my parents, we only had one car, so sometimes my parents would both have to go, and they'd have to leave me alone with my siblings, and I was like 7 years old. Imagine a 7-year-old looking after three of his sisters. And I remember my dad would come to me and say to me, "Listen, you're the man of the house. Look after your sisters. Here's my phone number." And I think that's where it kind of stemmed from, that sort of desire for responsibility, that just me being able to function well with responsibility. I think it stemmed from that young age. So bringing it back to money and resources, I just think that for me, having a lot of resources is a big responsibility, because what you do with that can actually impact the world massively. So obviously I want a lot of money because it's going to give me a certain lifestyle. It's going to, open up doors for my loved ones, but also because I feel like I'd want that responsibility as well. I'd want the responsibility of having those resources to then be able to make the most positive change I can. Yeah, it's interesting. I think I need to sort of dive into that a little bit more. I sort of understand why it is that I want a lot of money. But I know for sure that money is one of those pillars that I do want. I don't have a figure, by the way. I don't have like an exact figure, but I know that 10,000 a month would change my life. So that's what we're going for right now. I've wrote down the 5 pillars here as well, and just like other stuff on the laptop, just in case my mind went all weird. So the next one is relationships. Now, relationships. I don't mean boyfriend, girlfriend, all that shit. What I mean by that is relationships across the board. So your family, your loved ones, your friends, anyone else that means anything to you. I think relationships are the most important thing in the world, without a doubt. And I think you could be the most successful, you could be the most richest man in the world, but if you don't have fulfilling relationships, then life loses its color. Life loses that. It just isn't as worth living without meaningful relationships. So, for me, I know that I want to give time to my relationships. I want to the people that matter to me. I know that, and I've actually been trying to do this as well. Is whenever I am sitting, around people, whenever I am sitting with my loved ones, I try and be a bit more present. So I won't go so much on my phone, because usually in the past I'd literally just go on my phone, go on Instagram, whatever, and because everyone's doing it. Now it's more, I want to be more present. I want to be more just there for them. I want to just be there to speak with them. Does that make sense? So relationships, I think, are definitely really, really important. And also for me, obviously it ties into relationships, but my future partner, I think, for me, I think I need to choose them really, really wisely. And I know that right now I'm sort of building myself up to be the best man possible for my future partner and my future kids, if that makes sense. So because I know that the relationship I have with my future partner will dictate so much in the future, that, yeah, I just think that relationships in general are just something that we need to pay a bit more attention to. Yeah, I've kind of lost my train of thought right now. See, this is the thing with doing these unfiltered videos. There's no scripting, so I'll get back to it. If I can think of anything more to say about relationships, I'll come back to it. But in terms of other stuff, health. Now, health, obviously there's 3 components to health. There's physical, which is obviously how you look and whether you're shredded or not. There's physical, there's mental, which is a huge one, and then there's social. Now, you have to have all 3 ticked off to claim to have good health. Now, without good health, again, I feel like that's one of those things that it's quite easy to neglect. It's quite easy to neglect yourself when you're chasing everything else that the world has to offer. But without good health, it's almost like the foundation just isn't there. Because whatever you decide to do, whatever projects, whatever vision, whatever it is that you want to achieve, the foundation of that is a solid health, especially mental health. Because if you don't have good mental health, then you cannot expect to be productive. You cannot expect to be able to deal with the challenges that life has. Having good mental health gives you resilience. It gives you the ability to actually, again, just deal with challenges that life throws at you. So I think that health itself, physical as well, and the social part, is so important. And physical, obviously, like, I'll be honest, I look at myself, I'm 22 right now, and I look at myself and I feel as though there's so much more I need to improve on in terms of physically. So I think it's important to also realize that it's a journey. There's no sort of destination. It very much is a journey that you strive for and you kind of achieve over time. So I'm on this journey of improving my physical health, my overall well-being. I think, alhamdulillah, mentally, I'm quite happy with where I am. I have quite good self-awareness in that sense. And I know what I can do to improve that stuff if needed. Social health is obviously your friends, your family, people around you, just having good relationships in general. So I think health is very, very easy to neglect, but it's something that I want to solidify and just make sure that those sort of foundations in life are firm. Because if you build things on top of sort of wishy-washy, sort of broken foundations, then everything on top crumbles. So yeah, health, very, very important. And I think the final one is a worldly purpose. Now, this kind of ties into religion for me. Now, obviously, I'm a Muslim, and Islam plays quite a big role. Bless me. Islam plays quite a big role in my life. Now, obviously, the main purpose why I'm here, and this might educate some of you guys as well, but as a Muslim, our main purpose is to please Allah and to get into Jannah, to get into heaven, basically. Now, that's the only purpose that we're on this world for. However, as a Muslim, you also have the responsibility of making this world a better place. Now, for me, that's where my worldly purpose comes in, because I feel like, yeah, I do want to reach Jannah and heaven and all that stuff, but I also want to make this world a better place. I want to improve this world in any way I can. And so for that, my worldly purpose is, I actually don't have one purpose, I have multiple purposes. And obviously I spoke to you guys about one of those being, being present as a father, being a good father to my future children. But I think another purpose is being able to change the lives of my community. And I look first to my community before I look out into the world, because I feel like, for me anyway, I feel like there's some responsibility there where I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my community. If it wasn't for the people around me who helped to elevate me to where I am right now, I wouldn't be here. So I kind of owe them that. I don't know, I just feel like I have that sort of debt to repay. So for me, I want to sort of, just give back to my community in any way I can. I feel like I do need to nail down this purpose a little bit more and sort of understand why that is, because it's easy to say these things. Like, I don't know, you guys might relate to this, but it's easy to say straight away what comes to mind, but sometimes you have to sort of dig to actually understand why that is. Like, what's the true intention there? What's the true reason there? So I think that's something I still need to do. But I also know that I am constantly looking for a worldly purpose, something that's going to benefit others, alongside myself. So there's the community side of it. There's obviously being a good father. This camera's getting a bit weird. Give me one sec. One sec. Yeah, the sun's coming out, so it's getting a bit bright. There's that, and also I think other purpose. So it kind of ties into this YouTube channel as well, because this is quite like a candid, unfiltered channel, but the main channel, I want to make it more meaningful, more purposeful. And I think the biggest thing that I want to do is to cultivate a community of people who want to improve themselves. Because I know for sure that when I was 17, 18, if I had a community of like-minded individuals around me who are constantly sort of trying to elevate themselves, I just know that it would have made my life so much easier. So I feel like if I'm able to create that community, if I'm able to, just create a community of people, of young people who want to be the best versions of themselves, then I feel like that would add so much value to the world. So I think that's one of those things I'm trying to cultivate. But yeah, I think with purposes, it's important not to get too like goal orientated, not to get too locked in, because like you have a purpose, but it's also important to sort of reevaluate your purpose as well as life goes on. Because if you just stay too like locked in, then you realize that life's changed and you could have had more of an impact in other ways. So it's important to reevaluate constantly, I think. But yeah, I think overall those are my 5 pillars. And I got those after journaling for 3-4 times. I sat down and journaled 3-4 times, and those were the 5 that I came up with. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think and what your 5 pillars are. It could be 5, it could be less, it could be more, just up to you. But what are the things that once you accomplish them all, or once they're at a good enough level, will overall give you a fulfilled and content life? So think about what those are to you. And yeah, I don't know how to wrap this thing up. So I'm just gonna end the camera now. Just turn the camera off and enjoy this coffee. In a bit, I'll see you in the next video.